Mother's Day. Today we get to honor all the mothers, if you're a mother, if you had a mother, and just all the mothering in the world. We're so grateful for mothers. So it's a day of celebration, isn't it? And I want to tell you that we have a special gift for all the mothers who are here today. The roses that you saw when you walked in, each mother take a rose as you leave today. That's our gift to you. That's sweet. Yeah. Not to be confused with the flowers that are for sale. Those are irises, is that right? To take home and put in your garden? Or are they cut flowers? Cut irises to go alongside your rose. I'm getting the signal to stand here, okay. All right, so I wanted to just say what a great time I had on Friday night at the Spring Flame. Were some of you there? Yeah. It was so much fun, and thank you all for coming, and thanks to the wonderful people who put that together. It was incredible. I bid in the silent auction. I do that a lot. John gives me a limit before we go. This year I won an incredible painting made by Audrey of this split rock lighthouse up on Lake Superior. It's beautiful. And we put it on the mantle of our fireplace in our living room. It's gorgeous there. And yesterday as I was admiring it, I remembered something. I remembered that I took a trip to that lighthouse and to the North Shore with my mom. Just the two of us, because she wanted to go. And it was about 6 months before she died. So that painting has special meaning because you made it with love, and then it also reminds me of a really special time with my mom before she passed. So our moms just hold this incredible place in our hearts, don't they? They just, yeah. In my meditation with you this morning, I asked you to go to a place where you could remember feeling unconditional love. I asked you to come up with sensory stimulation about how that felt to be in the presence of someone who loved you unconditionally. And it's beautiful, isn't it? It's warm and inviting, and lots of words come to mind. It feels like you're seen for who you are. There's like no time, no hurry. It's just very lovely. So I hope you were able to feel some of that. Because a lot of us didn't have perfect, unconditional love from our mothers. We got a lot of good stuff, but not perfect. And we all do deserve love from others, and we deserve love from ourselves. So this morning, I'd like to offer up some ideas that center around this theme of loving ourselves, honoring ourselves, and also the theme that God is good for you. So my mom loved to read. I think I've told you this before. She was really into mystery novels. She read about a book a day, voracious reader. In the last 5 years of her life, she lived across the street from the Dakota County Library. Heaven on earth. So one of the beautiful gifts that I was given by her is my love of books. I love books, and I love to read and write. And I love mysteries too, but kind of the more nonfiction kind. I like the big mysteries of the world, like how does science and religion meet? I like to study ancient history and dig around for my own truth. A week or so ago, John and I went to hear a speaker talk about archaeological artifacts from the 1st century. It was so cool. I held a tiny little oil lamp in my hand. He passed around coins from that time, a little piece of mail, a little from an armor, an arrowhead, a plate, and a cup, a drinking cup. And I couldn't help but wonder about the people who use these things. It's just amazing to me. So recently, my mind has been going around about some work by Dr. Andrew Newberg. He's a neuroscientist. Are there any neuroscientists in here? Good, because I'm no expert, and I hope I don't make any mistakes today, but we're going there. So he researches brain function and health and spirituality and how they relate to each other. So he's been in this field for about 20 years, and I find this really fascinating. I hope you do, because you're stuck with me for 20 minutes. One of his books is called How God Changes Your Brain, and I'm using a lot of information out of this. But he has a website, too, that you can check on the internet. I know that we don't carry this right now in our bookstore, but here's my little commercial. If you ever want a CD or a book that we don't have in stock in a bookstore, here's what you do. You go to the Unity Valley website, and up at the top it says Metaphysical Bookstore. You click on that, and it brings up the whole bookstore page. Down at the bottom is a link to Amazon.com, so you can go get anything you want. And it's a way for you to get your needs met, and it also gives back to our spiritual center. So do that. Yeah. Okay. No matter what the religion, Muslim, Hindu, Jewish, Mormon, Christian, even atheists, Dr. Newberg says that studies show that if you contemplate something as mysterious and complex as God, you're going to have incredible bursts of neural activity in your brain. The more you think about God, the more your circuitry and specific parts of your brain just fires up. So every human brain assembles its own perception of what God is in its own unique way. No two brains are alike, no two of us are alike, and none of us have exactly the same beliefs about God. So it's no wonder there's so many religions in the world, isn't it? And that's why we have such great conversations in our Unity classes, because we get to talk about these kinds of things. So findings show that spiritual practices create a healthy brain and healthy body. People with religious involvement, just showing up at religious services on Sunday, we live longer. We have fewer problems with health. We have lower blood pressure, lower risk of dying early, and we're much less likely to suffer stroke. So see, God is good for you. Contemplative practices like prayer and meditation, they strengthen certain circuits in our brain that create peacefulness and social awareness and compassion for other people. And compassion is a concept that's found in nearly every world religion, I think. It's responding to others' pain, tolerating our differences, and accepting others just where they are. Here are some of Dr. Newberg's findings that align completely, I think, with Unity. Your thoughts clearly affect the functioning of your body. Duh, we know that, right? Positive thoughts neurologically suppress negative thoughts. We know that. There's no room for negativity when you're thinking positive and affirming thoughts. Optimism is essential for maintaining a healthy brain. Yeah, positive thoughts. When you change the way you think, you begin to change your outward circumstances. Yeah, it's proven. Consciousness, reality, your mind, and your spiritual beliefs are all interconnected, and they're inseparable from the functioning of your brain. It's really nice to know, isn't it, that Unity's spiritual practices are supported by current brain research. I like that. It satisfies both my hemispheres, I guess. I want to give you a super simplistic overview of the human brain. Okay, are you ready for this? All right, I've got my little paraphernalia to help me with this. Okay, here's 2 almonds. They represent the halves of the amygdala. And this is where we have our fight or flight response, right? And then I have 2 walnuts. They represent our thalamus, and that sends sensory information to other parts of our brain, gives us our sense of meaning and what reality may actually be. So there's one of each of these in each hemisphere. But if I close my fist and then kind of bend my forearm, this represents the spinal cord. And together, all of this is called the limbic system. And this is what you may have heard as the old brain, the reptile brain. We share this limbic system with fish, reptiles, all mammals have that. And it handles our emotional responses and our bodily functions. Okay, whoops, I'm still holding this. Here comes the neocortex. These are 4 sheets of crumpled up paper. I need 3 hands. Okay, so these kind of go around the limbic system then. And what I want to call your attention to, about 30% of this paper is our frontal lobe. That's kind of above and behind our eyeballs right here. And the frontal lobe controls our conscious awareness, our language skills, our voluntary movements, and logic and reason. So this is kind of the new parts of the brain. And where my thumb meets up with the paper, this is a special place in our brain too. It's called the anterior cingulate. There won't be a test on this, I promise. That anterior cingulate is the area that's for social awareness and intuition and empathy. It's like the mediator between our feelings and our thoughts. The neurons here have only been around for 15 million years. That's our new brain. The other stuff, you know, the amygdala neurons, the fight or flight, they've been generating fear for 450 million years. This is what you're dealing with. Okay, everybody please pause right now and take a yawn. Can you yawn with me? Go ahead. That's great. I'll tell you why later. Charles Fillmore is one of the co-founders of Unity, and he tells us that the Bible is the story of humanity's evolution in consciousness. About 100,000 years ago, consciousness in our frontal lobes began to dominate human behavior. That's when scientists think that we first came up with our gods and goddesses and that authoritarian, punishing image of God. It's associated with the most primal parts of our brain, the old brain. That old part of our brain is just about survival, really. And anger is right there with it, that most primal emotion that we have. Anger is really difficult to control. And when you get angry, the blood flows away from your frontal lobes and it's directed right here to the amygdala. So when your frontal lobes are shut down with anger, it's impossible to just hear another person, let alone be empathetic or compassionate toward them. So we've got our work, don't we? Yeah. Life is sacred, and every cell in our bodies struggles and fights to survive. And our brains were developed to survive under harsh conditions. So the faith behind this force is our will to survive. It's faith, and its faith is embedded in our genes, in our neurology. So the new God, the benevolent, mystical, internal God that we embrace here is experienced through our newer parts of our brain. And these parts are a little more fragile. It's about empathy and social awareness and compassion. Those are pretty recent phenomena with us. And that anterior cingulate that little piece of our brain evolved to bridge the gap between our new brain and our old brain. So guess what? Meditation stimulates this circuit. It guides us to our positive emotions and away from negative feelings. So picture a scale, a balancing scale with new brain, old brain, and this is like the center that brings us balance. Many spiritual teachers tell us about responding to anger with kindness. In Luke chapter 6, verse 27, Jesus said, "But I say to you, listen, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you, and pray for those who mistreat you." Some present-day spiritual teachers like Thich Nhat Hanh, I love him. He teaches smiling meditation. When you smile, all the muscles in your face send positive messages to your brain and body. Smiling at someone who's upset actually helps. It helps settle them and let them become more calm and peaceful. Eckhart Tolle tells us to be in the moment, in this now, in the present. That's where the power is. When you focus on spiritual values and goals, the blood flow increases to your frontal lobes and to that anterior cingulate. And your conscious intention is the whole key. The more you focus on your inner values, spiritual values, the more you can change your life. You know, we are the only species on the planet who can think our way into happiness or into the dumps. So let's make the choice to choose love and happiness. Okay, would you like to yawn again?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you why. Let's yawn. Go ahead. Oh. So Dr. Newberg recommends this as a brain enhancement exercise, deep yawning. How about that? I used to think it was rude, but now I don't. Taking a deep breath, stretching your mouth really wide, and exhaling, making a long sigh. Even if it's not a real yawn, if you do that, you're kind of stimulating the same reactions, and gradually a yawn will come. And yawning